Well, welcome back to another episode of the Buffalo Happy Hour. Mike, what's so special about today?
First of all, we're doing a massive tasting, and we're doing a yearly recap. It's episode 52, which means for 52 weeks, we've been discussing things. If I know anything about a calendar, that means...
Which I don't.
I definitely don't, because does the week start on Sunday or on a Monday?
It depends on who you ask. Are you asking the U.S. or the French?
Definitely not the French. They're spending most of their time retreating anyways, so not worried about it.
Thanks, everybody. This is episode 52.
Thanks, take care.
So
we have a yearly recap because that means we've done this for a year, and we have a lot of equipment upgrades all of a sudden, randomly.
All this came out of nowhere. It didn't come out of nowhere because we've done all of it, but it's crazy to look back on where we've been and where we are now.
So let's start from the beginning.
Oh, yeeks.
52
weeks ago. When did we record our first episode? Our first episode aired October 2nd. So we must have recorded it a week before October 2nd because we were still doing a week lag back then. So we're literally basically right at, we're like 50 weeks in, technically.
It's fine. We're too busy.
Yeah.
We're ahead of the game.
Well, this is actually going to air in 2 weeks from today. So 14 days plus 14. So September 28th is when it's going to air. So 3 days before October 2nd.
It would air the 28th.
Yeah.
That number follows me.
There you go.
I'm telling you, man, it's
go,
everywhere.
Dude. It's everywhere.
So, all right, we started with 0 subs.
Mm-hmm.
We started with 0 followers.
I'm pretty sure we started with negative subs somehow. Because,
no doubt.
Yeah, because people, no doubt in my mind, unsubscribed before they were even subscribed. Just because of who you and I are.
Yeah, it was bad. So we started with 0 across the board, all platforms. We are now over 160 subs. We have over 180 total videos uploaded on YouTube, including clips, everything else. And we're on 9 total platforms. Mm-hmm. We're over 600 followers on Instagram, and we're well over 500 followers on Facebook.
Yeah.
So we're doing well for 52 weeks. Those are round numbers. I didn't want to get too exact, just because by the time this airs, it's probably going to change.
Right.
So for the better or for the worse of the pod.
Probably for the worse of the pod.
No problem.
So since Inception, when we started this, since the movie Inception came out, since we started this, we've had 75,000 minutes watched, which is roughly, I don't even know what we're going to do with this today. We'll just do water.
Water for the beeps.
Yep. So we're at 75,000 minutes watched, which is like a little bit over 1,200 hours watched on YouTube, which is crazy. And then on the podcast platforms, which we had an error today. You'd think after 52 weeks we would know better by now. But total, we have almost 4,800 plays on our podcast platforms. So we're doing pretty good.
We're in 26 states, 14 countries.
Yeah. Something like that.
Yeah, something like that. So we're over 10 countries and we're over 20 states for round numbers.
Which is absolutely insane. I mean, what, honestly, when we started this, was your expectation?
We would post a video once a week for more than 3 weeks in a row, and that was it. I'm like, we can do it for
21 days
weeks.
to build the habit.
Yeah, we can do this for 3 weeks, and we'll see what happens. And now we're here. So let's start at the beginning. Reaction clip to the first episode.
Jesus. So this is going to be cringy because we're going to watch it right here.
Oh.
Yeah, what did you think this was?
I don't know what was happening. Man, look at this thing. Look at this setup. All right, let's watch.
All right, so here's a reaction clip to our first episode. And we're not going to obviously watch the full one because this podcast would be 4 hours long if we did.
Correct.
But let's just watch the beginning and just listen to it.
So for those that want to follow along, are we going to watch the first 4 minutes?
Yeah, I'm going to put it in the video. So if you're watching on YouTube, you'll see it in the video.
All right, let's do that.
Yeah, and then
Go ahead.
we'll like every time that we want to talk, we'll pause it. Then we can talk about like the cringy stuff and all that. So you'll be able to hear the audio with us if you're listening to it on the podcast platform. And if you're listening and watching on YouTube, you'll be able to see both of us watching this. All right. What's up, Mike?
What's up, Derek?
First episode. What's going on?
We're trying.
First of all, real awkward. Super awkward introduction. Dude, this is a train wreck already.
There's nothing on the walls. We have a 6-foot foldable table. We actually still do have decent equipment that we still use today.
Yeah.
We got the focus right. Look at the little Lieutenant Dan bottle of whiskey.
Dude, this is a train wreck.
I mean, at least our hair looks good, but we're trying to figure out the timer. We're trying to make it work. We have no coasters. This is terrible.
This is brutal. The best thing there, right there, is the flag. Because
100%.
the flag stayed there. I mean, honestly, the flag is still the best thing in all of our episodes. We'll put that out there. But I'm hunched over, like I have no idea what I'm doing, and I'm super nervous. It's just like, I don't know. Let's
keep playing. We're trying to figure it all out.
Dude, it was hard trying to figure this all out.
Yeah, there's a lot of moving parts.
Between just, one, getting the actual equipment.
Yep.
From Amazon, because we didn't know what we were doing. From the next point of us just trying to get it connected to our internet and the computer.
Yeah.
It was just a roller coaster because we started off with one platform and then went to another one.
One computer to another computer.
Dude, yeah, it was a mess.
People think it's really easy, just talking to a microphone, all of a sudden you're trending on YouTube and everything else.
It's definitely not the case.
Yeah, you're not.
Because I'm stressing. It was a very, very difficult process trying to get this all.
The focus rate's so far away, we can't monitor any volume.
No. So, one, I said dude like 44 times.
I listened to this whole thing today, driving around at work, and I almost threw up. I almost pulled over and threw up because we were saying for sure, like, dude, clean it up. You know, specifically remember having discussions with you when we were planning the podcast out on the golf course, and we were talking about it, and I said we should really have something outlined, planned for the first 4 weeks so that when we start this thing, it flows, and when people go back and watch the first episode, they're like, oh, okay, like, it's kind of always been like this. No. We did this, posted it, went live, and you're like, dude, we'll just make changes as we go.
Just do it.
And I hated that, because I'm so type A, where I'm like, I wanted to have an outline. We didn't. We just bought some booze and started.
So, kind of talking about that and how we got started and what our vision was when we started this whole thing back 52 weeks ago. You and I initially, and we tell all of our interviewees this, just to break the ice, you and I wanted to grab a bottle of local booze. We wanted to tell the story of the distillery that we were reviewing that week. And we wanted to do it in a way that would be enticing for our viewers and our listeners to then want to go out and buy a bottle of the bourbon, either one, because we loved it so much, or two, because they love the story behind it.
Mm-hmm.
Fast forward after this, and we'll watch just a little bit more of this because I don't want to watch too much of it. I'm going to throw up. But fast forward a little bit more, we started then reaching out to different local businesses or local distilleries that we wanted to tell their story for them. And through that process, Tommy Burnett from Iron Smoke, he responded, yeah, I'll be on the podcast. And we're like, oh, what? Like, what do you mean you'll be on the podcast? Like, we didn't want to start doing interviews. That was not the plan, which is why we have a setup that only can have 2 microphones at first. It is something that we weren't planning on doing. And we're like, well, let's just run with it because you have to be able to pivot. So that episode is what started the whole interview process for us to go to these local businesses and have them tell the story better than we ever could, because we obviously didn't start the company. So that led to us having 52 regular episodes, 33 interviews so far. We've done 33 interviews. So if you think about it, we've done 85 full-length, hour-long episodes.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah.
All right. A little bit. But look, here we are.
Well, here we are.
So this is the Buffalo Happy Hour podcast. My name is Derek.
My name is Mike, who was just drinking water, and it was amazing.
They can check it out on the YouTube and see that you were just drinking water instead of answering me.
That's right, exactly.
So really what we wanted to do here is we wanted to start a podcast with 2 good friends that met in college just to, one, bullshit, because we haven't really had the chance to sit down and talk to each other quite a bit. So we wanted to get this all started just so we can do that and catch up with each other. But also, we're pretty big whiskey fans. So what we wanted to do also was take some of a different whiskey from around the Buffalo area and rate it. So that's going to kind of be our theme going forward.
For sure.
So there. I mean, that is just a train wreck. Do you want to keep watching?
Well, I mean, thanks for pausing it when I made a duck face. But no, the funny thing about that whole clip and segment that we just watched was the lack of, like, I'm trying to figure out the words. The cohesiveness that we have and the chemistry that we have now is far superior to there, where I was taking a drink of water and you would have continued talking until I was done,
right?
And then allowed me to, like, that's subconscious now, where we just do it. And then before, we always talked over each other, where now it's when I'm done, you'll speak, and vice versa. We call each other out. But there was a lot of discussions after we recorded where we're like, all right, let's hammer this.
Yeah,
let's get it. No crying. Have some thick skin. There's no crying in podcasts. And then it became this, where we actually have flow to every episode. It makes sense. There's segues. People can actually follow where we are in the progression of our episodes. But it took 52 weeks, but it was well worth it. I mean, the grind was incredible, and we didn't stop during a global pandemic, which kudos to us, because we easily could have. And then this podcast, who knows? It might have just completely ceased to exist.
There's a couple that I was following back then, because there were some in the New York area that I wanted to not necessarily like follow what they were doing or like copy what they were doing or anything, but get into this New York podcast scene that didn't exist. So I wanted to follow different podcasts in the local area, even if they were just starting out. And a bunch of them that were just starting out stopped during the pandemic and never came back.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we're technically still during the actual pandemic, but I don't think they're coming back. And it's very sad to see that they've stopped because of everything that's happened. Or maybe the pandemic was an excuse for them to stop because they weren't having fun doing it. You never know.
Right.
But it is very cringy watching this. It's disgustingly cringy watching this. But looking at where we are now and seeing where we've been, dude, I feel so proud of us.
And a lot of the stuff that we have are gifts, which is insane. Our whole set, like, we just picked it up during different interviews, different conversations, networking between the community and our friends, and everybody chipping in to make it what it is now. It's, I don't know. It's a small... The BHH is a small community, and it's sweet to watch it grow.
Absolutely, and it's going to keep growing. So back then, during the first episode, as you can see, the video quality is one camera, and we've stuck with that for a few months, actually.
Yeah.
We were doing that for like until episode 20-something. The one camera angle, we were using my phone, which was super aggravating because, one, we didn't know if it was recording or not because it wasn't facing us. So we always ran that risk of during an interview us not capturing everything, which gave me a heart attack every single time we did it. And then also we were not very close to the Focusrite, so we never could control audio. And we didn't have lights on. We had like the overhead lights on, but we didn't have professional lights. We were on the folding table. So now, like, tell everybody where we're at with all of our equipment and how it's just grown since just the phone camera, to where we are now.
So we have a full mobile setup. We have multiple tripods that hold up our lights, our cameras. We have an extension cord that is long enough to find any outlet no matter where we are, because we've ran into that before. We have a power strip to handle all of the excess cords. We also have headphones, additional power and audio cords that were needed, branding between clothes, the full set with the table, the board, and then everything that we bring is branded, which is awesome. The shelves, I mentioned the tabletop, and then the barrels that we picked up as well. So from there to this, dollar amounts don't matter. Okay? Dollar amounts don't matter. But we've done extremely well with the budget that we have.
Yes.
And it's only getting better. So,
and when you and I started this, we've both stated multiple times, there's no way that we're going to put out a garbage content. Like,
correct.
We wanted to invest in microphones. We wanted to invest in good equipment because we didn't want people to struggle through listening to an episode. We wanted them to at least have some sort of consistency. Now, granted, before we got these headphones, there were times where it was a little bit inconsistent. But, I mean, at least you can hear what we're saying. Whether it might be too loud or too quiet, at least it's clear because of these microphones. And that's something that we started all the way back from the beginning because that's something that we really believed in. It's just crazy to see. I mean, we talked about the shirts. We've done, since the start of it, we've done 2 batches of merchandise.
Yeah, so with the merchandise donations, we've raised over $350 to go directly into the Buffalo community, which is amazing. 2 batches of merchandise thus far. 3rd is on the way. And then we have the next 3 already planned, which is sweet. Mm-hmm. Working with a different nonprofit each time. We've done, let's see. I forgot to mention the computer. We got a separate computer for the podcast as well. Just so that and the software that we use for editing, that was also an upgrade. And what else?
Forgot about all that.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much stuff that we forget what we've actually done in the course of 52 weeks. But yeah, I mean, I'm honestly pretty proud with the amount of networking that we've done between nonprofits, different businesses, and then the community in general, where friends and friends are starting to share our podcast and then branch out, and then being able to raise over $350 is amazing.
Yeah.
So I'm excited. I'm excited to see where this goes.
Yeah, absolutely. So going back to the interviews really quick too, I mentioned that we did 33 so far. We've done 14 distilleries, which if you would have told me in the beginning that there's 14 distilleries even remotely close to the Buffalo area, I would have completely disregarded what you said.
Yeah.
I had no idea that there were that many in the area. I mean, granted, we went all the way down from the southern tier, like Jamestown area, all the way over to the Finger Lakes. But still, that's a huge community in the Western New York area that is all producing a same type of spirit, which is crazy. Mm-hmm. So 14 different distilleries, 5 breweries, and then we have the one-offs or the two-offs, which were apparel companies, pizza, which were my favorite, obviously, charities, wineries, coffee, music, restaurants, and motorcycle repair company. We've done everything under the sun, and we're planning more stuff to come out in the future, and I'm just so excited to see what the next different business is going to be, because I don't see how we can get even more different than this, but we're going to keep doing it.
Yeah.
It's crazy. So what was looking back on this last year, what was your favorite moment of the past 52 weeks?
Favorite moment or moments?
Ooh, good question. Both.
All right. So I think my favorite moment is the drink at the beep. Honestly, I have that listed, and of course it just beeped. So it's not the first beep, it's the second beep, but still. Mega fan Farrell, go ahead, daytime stamp. Unbelievable. So
again, since it's your favorite moment, you want to explain what the beep is for all of our new listeners?
Yeah, so the beep started in the first episode, and there was actually 2 or 3 consistent inside jokes that started in the first episode that we still do today. Mm-hmm. But the first beep is because the Wi-Fi battery's dying, so it starts to beep to notify you that the battery's dying. In the first episode, we specifically states it happens every 30 minutes. But now, we're at every 15 minutes.
Was it really every 30 minutes back then, though? It was?
Yeah. I caught that when I was listening to it. So I was laughing pretty hard at that, because I was like, wow, it's definitely dying. Yeah. So
no doubt about that.
So you were the one that said, you know what, every time it beeps, we'll just have a shot. And then I jumped on it, and I'm like, absolutely, that's what we're doing. And now it's a thing. Mm-hmm. So drink at the first beep. It's a drinking game. We take a sip at every beep, and then we have fans that comment on every YouTube video and tell us when the first beep is with the specific timestamp of when it occurred.
And we also have fans that are watching this with us, or watching our episode, and then when it beeps, when we drink during the episode, they also drink.
Yeah.
Which is sweet to know that we have that type of, like, people just want to do that, to just beep a part of it.
Right.
It's crazy.
Yeah, I think it's cool. Also, please drink responsibly.
Yes. So please do not rewatch our episodes every hour just to get wasted.
Yeah. The hashtag not a sponsor started in the first episode. That's obviously one of my favorites because we still do that today. I agree. 3 times is something that we definitely need to speak about, because there's fans that say that out of character and out of place. They'll say it in the workplace. They'll say it to different friends and family, not realizing that they're in a conversation with those people. And the whole thing about that is, I don't even know where it started. I forgot what episode, but someone said that they agreed with the other, and then someone just said it 3 times. I agree, I agree, I agree. It was probably me, because it's something that it's stupid, but it caught on, and now all of a sudden, I agree, I agree, I agree is a thing in our fans. So I'm stoked that that's a part of it. That's definitely going to be a t-shirt. Don't worry.
100%.
The other ones are the different Mike-isms that occur because you can't make them up.
Oh, yeah.
And they're hilarious. The road trips that we take are incredible because we're either brainstorming, planning, confirming future interviews with people where we'll just literally send a blast of messages out and confirm things where it's like, hey, we need to book up, and then all of a sudden we book 15 interviews in 6 minutes, and we're like, all right, crushed it.
Every single time we start that conversation, we're like, all right, Mike, we're getting low on some of this stuff, so let's start reaching out to these businesses and let's get something scheduled. Then we're like, all right, well, there goes the next 4 months.
It's pretty bad. I think my other favorite part about everything is, like I mentioned before, the community networking between the nonprofits and then the different businesses, because at the end of the day, everybody kind of has the same message and drive of just making Buffalo better. Right. Even though Buffalo is meant to be kept a secret, it is what it is. Yeah. Like we're trying to grow Buffalo. So I'm excited for that. And that's also one of my favorite things. What are yours?
So one of my first favorite things that started in that first episode, I'm pretty sure, was our whiskey rating scale. So that is something that you and I brought is a shared experience with going through that class at our college. And it was just such a weird and odd experience when it happened that we had to incorporate it in some way into this podcast. And sure, it might be aggravating for some people when they look at our rating scale, which is linked on our Facebook page, so you can look at it and see every single thing that we reviewed so far, all 52, whatever we did.
It's also on my personal Instagram page.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
I should put it on mine too. Thanks for one-upping me.
No problem.
So it might be aggravating for some people because they're like, what the hell is an A++++? And how is that worse than A plus check mark plus check mark plus? Just so ridiculous. But it is us having fun with that because that's what our teacher used to do, and we've just stuck with it and just ran with it to the point where it's just insane now. But it's one of my favorite parts of the podcast. Number 2 would obviously be the introduction of the beatbox section. I couldn't go through this portion right here without mentioning that beatbox section.
Okay.
I just feel like we needed a drop to introduce something to break it up, and what better way than just for me to drop a beat.
I like that.
And kind of going with that was the multiple times that you've made me laugh in like the middle of my beatbox. And I couldn't continue on because you're making me laugh so hard. But anyway, so that is one of them. And then probably the final point that I'd like to bring up is just how we've helped local businesses, not only just having people listen to their stories, but we've already had multiple people go to their business and support them. So I know when we first started this, especially when we were sticking mostly with local distilleries, I've got a lot of feedback by saying that they never even knew that this distillery existed, or how is their whiskey? How does it compare to this whiskey? And opening people's eyes to the local spirits industry itself is an amazing thing that we've done. And it's helped those businesses because now people are going there to get more liquor and stuff. Mm-hmm. And then also with our collaboration with the shirt that you have on right now, which we can talk about, is this is going to be last week, Friday, Positive Approach was on the podcast. And we've just helped spread their word. And a couple people are going to be using them going forward just to get some of their merchandise done, which is, it's just insane that we can help local businesses in that area. Because, I mean, to be honest, our videos don't get hundreds of thousands of views. So we're more going off of what we recommend and having our network then expand to their network. Maybe not watching the video, but at least our network is telling people about what we do, and then they're getting into it.
Yeah.
It's just sweet, man. So those are probably my favorite moments.
I like it.
It's awesome. So what about your most cringy moments? What do you look back on that's still in your mind?
When we say for sure during interviews, that's my top. Yeah. I hate it.
That was the point that I have written down, and it will always stick with me until the day that I die, until we go back and do an interview with them, and I do it 14 more times. So Southern Tier. It was a great interview, but that first 5 minutes was the most cringy 5 minutes of my entire life. I said for sure those 2 words. It had to have been 5 times in a row. If you go back and watch that interview, screw you. No, I'm just kidding. if you go back and you watch that, it is the worst because I say for sure 3 times in one sentence.
Yeah.
We even talked about it in the car ride back. It's like, dude, you said for sure so much.
There was a lot of random weeks where it was a different catchword or catchphrase that we continuously said throughout the episode for absolutely no reason.
Yeah.
For sure was the first. Phenomenal was another word. There was my laugh would be caught by the mic and everyone would hear me sounding like I had a heart attack, but I was just laughing and I had to figure that out. So I navigated through that. And there was 2 to 3 more where it was just nonstop. Yeah. Maybe obnoxious was one, but it was bad. But we worked through it. Yeah. Now we don't do it.
Well, and also, too, from the 52 weeks, we've had, what do you call them? You call them something where you, like, realize that you're doing something wrong, you fix it, and the next time you don't do it again. What do you call them? Come on. You tell me all the time.
Like a critique?
Yeah. Like, we have, like, self-evaluations.
Oh, an AR.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is it?
An after-action review. So when we're done with everything, we'll sit down and we're like, all right, 3 sustains, 3 improves.
Yeah.
It's a military thing, but they work extremely well when you're trying to get better at one specific thing or just in general.
Which we've done. I mean, when we started again, back in episode 1, 2, 3, we were talking over each other like crazy. And eventually, when we got to, we didn't notice it too much when we only had the one camera. But when we decided to have 2 cameras, one on each of us, every time that we would talk over each other, I was flipping out because I would have to cut back and forth to each other, where it would take me so long to edit an episode because it was every 5 seconds it was switching cameras, and I was losing it.
And the viewers would get dizzy.
Right.
Because it'd be too much, too fast. It was just too much.
Yeah. And we always would say after every sentence that you would say or I would say, we would say, yep, yep, yep. And then every time we said the word yeah, it would cut to the other person. And it was just a terrible experience. So that was one of the times where we used the AAR to look at it and say, listen, we shouldn't do this anymore. Instead of acknowledging verbally what the other person is saying, either do the Joe Rogan, like he does quite a bit, or just nod like you just did. Then it's not distracting to our viewers. They don't feel like they need to see you say yeah, but you're still acknowledging the conversation because we're still having a conversation.
That's it.
It's crazy.
Absolutely. So there were 2 right there. Absolutely and 100%.
100%.
Those were others that were constantly being used.
Damn it. Yeah. We'll talk about it during our, 104th episode or 2 here?
Most likely. So the next thing we have to discuss is goals for next year.
Yeah. So that's a tough one because goals for next year, we want to be ambitious, but we don't want to sound greedy, which is the battle that I had when coming up with this. Personally, a goal for next year for us would be for us to be monetized and be at least getting some sort of money in from doing this podcast. It might not be next year. It might be 2 years down the road, but eventually it would be an ideal situation if you and I started getting sponsors and started getting paid from the different platforms that we put our podcast out on. That is my number one goal for next year, which is why you and I thrive on consistency, because these podcast platforms and sponsorships and YouTube itself, they're not going to promote us if we're inconsistent. We don't upload on the same days. We don't have a schedule, and we look like we're just casual uploaders. We've been going at this for I keep saying it, but we've been going at it for 52 weeks. Every single week we've put up 3 videos. We're extremely, extremely consistent when it comes to uploading, which is something that eventually it's going to catch on. It's just getting to that point where it is catching on to the extent where we're getting paid for it.
Yeah, so monetize on YouTube was my second goal that I listed. My first is 500 plus subs, because I don't know what it is. I want to have over 500 subs on YouTube, just because then the channel looks a little more legitimate to people.
Yeah.
My others are 1,000 followers on Instagram and Facebook, which I feel is fairly easy, and I really want to reach $1,000 in donations by the end of next year, which nice. I also think that we can crush.
Yeah.
So they're realistic goals, but it's still great improvement from where we are now and then where we even started, obviously.
Yeah.
So I'm not shooting for, the moon, but I definitely want to hit a star, to say the least. So that's where I'm at.
That's awesome. And I like that you threw in the donations in there, because obviously that's something that you and I really believe in a lot. When we started this, you and I even sat down with this and said, we don't want to be a merch company. We're a podcast first. But that's merged into us at least having, we want 4 merch sales a year. We want to do 1 each quarter. We've talked about that. So with that being said, obviously we're going to continue donating from there. So I think $1,000 is a goal that we should strive for, and it'll help our viewers understand that we're not just doing it for selfish reasons, and we actually want to help the Buffalo community.
It's the only way we can help the Buffalo community other than interviewing, because we don't make money from this and we don't charge for anything.
Yeah.
So it's 100% free marketing for each business that we have on, just so that they can come on and have a platform to discuss their story, their business, their ideals and values. And for us, the only way that we can give back, because we're not millionaires, is releasing merchandise that's branded. You guys buy the merchandise and then you support the cause, but also the podcast and the logo, because our logo is eventually going to stand for the Buffalo community and then all of the things that encompass that. So the people, the nonprofit organizations, the businesses, and promoting small business is what keeps the city moving forward. And that's really why we started releasing merchandise well before we wanted to, because within the first 5 episodes, our first milestone that we wanted to hit was 500 subs. Then we'll do merchandise, and we just picked a number and threw it out where we're like, oh, that's kind of realistic, not realizing how hard it is to get a subscriber.
Yeah.
But also just because we knew that that wasn't what we wanted to do, like, who cares, it's just merchandise. But then we were able to pivot and understand that if we release merchandise, we could directly impact the community at a faster rate, and then it took off. So the 3rd batch is coming out. It's going to be a fall release. Crew neck sweaters. The nonprofit is going to be for the Buffalo Niagara Waterkeepers. So I'm working extremely hard with them to figure out, because they're buried. So I'm trying to figure out how we can slide into their busy schedule and then further donate to help their cause. But they're the ones that clean our water. So I'm super excited. I know one of the people that work there, so it's a nice reconnection, and we're able to then further promote Buffalo business and clean water with the release of the 3rd batch. So I'm stoked. They're going to be done in the coming days. From real time of when this is being recorded. By the time this comes out, they're already going to be done. And then we're just going to basically plan it to where A, it makes sense, and then B, where it falls into where we can then have them on for an interview. So that's coming. But yeah.
And another thing kind of too of what I liked about this past year is when we started this, I honestly felt like we were bothering local businesses when we went to go interview them, because we didn't really have we didn't have a plan.
We didn't have a pitch.
No. Do you remember when we interviewed Iron Smoke the first time? Tommy Burnett is a fantastic guy. And the fact that he let us be his first interview was incredible. I mean, I know that was actually, our 3rd interview released, right? Because Buffalo Distilling was 1.
Yeah, I believe so.
Southern Tier was 2, and then Iron Smoke was 3. So even though those 2 were before him, he was the first interview that we recorded. And he was so funny. He was such a great guy, and he made us feel so welcome to go and interview him, which helped us out a lot. But you're right, we didn't have a pitch when we started. Whereas now at least we have a mission statement now, which is what we want to keep going for. And recently, with our previous maybe 10 interviews, every single person at the end said, we really appreciate what you're doing for the local Buffalo community, which to me hits home. I love hearing that. And maybe that's selfish of me, but I love hearing that.
Well, yeah, I mean, our whole intent is just to help Buffalo business. Yeah. That's why we don't charge.
Right.
So if we can keep doing that and then that resonates with people and they get it, then that's great. Yeah. We can't beat that.
Yeah, a lot of companies charge for marketing. We don't.
Right.
At all.
Right.
So we're just like, hey, we'll come by. We'll have a conversation. We just want to talk. And I guess another thing, dude, this episode could be 4 hours long if we talk about everything that we like about it. But I know how to basically know how to distill whiskey. I haven't done it yet. I probably suck at it, but I know how to do it. we know how to make beer. Again, we suck at it. We probably wouldn't be able to make anything good, but we know the process of doing it. We've learned so much doing this podcast just over the last year. I never would have known about it.
That, and then the story behind each business, the mash bills of different products. We're able to handpick which bourbon, scotch, or the latter, whatever, it doesn't matter, not the latter, but whatever, for someone specific to us, where a family or friend reaches out and says, hey, what do you think I would like? And we're able to navigate the conversation and then handpick anywhere from 1 to 5 different options for them to go to the store and buy at all different price levels. And having that firsthand knowledge is huge to where we're almost, I mean, to them, to the companies and the distilleries and the breweries, it's literally like they have 2 salesmen that are unpaid that can walk around and just be ambassadors and promote them for absolutely nothing. Like it's a gold mine. So for us, we love promoting Hartman's and we love promoting all local, but it's just so much fun where we can just have open dialogue with anybody about where they're at. We know their addresses by heart because we've been there so many times. We know their story. We know what they do, how they do it, the ins and outs of like Buffalo Distilling having the cease and desist from Buffalo Trace, like all of those different stories. To have firsthand knowledge to then promote different places is huge. We can literally speak on Hollerhorn in such detail that it makes someone want to drive 2 hours to go see them.
Absolutely.
And then they're like, how do you know all this? And it's like, well, we just listen.
Yeah.
Because they say it, and then we're just able to retain it. We're sponges.
Right.
But I think that's the added element that makes it that much better.
Absolutely.
It sucks now because when we go to the liquor store, we're staring at the shelf, and we're like, I don't really know. Like, there's 15 options that I want to pick right now, but I only want to spend $40. So, like, where do I go? Which leads us to this, because for $40, we can get pretty much everything on this table.
All of them, I'm pretty sure. Right? Hartman's might be the only one that, I think Hartman's is 43 or 45.
Yeah, it's 45 after tax. Nailed it. The Jim Beam Double Oaked, twice barreled, I believe is over 40.
Oh, is it?
I think.
I got this one as a gift, so I wasn't sure.
Yeah,
and
I think, but the rest they're like $30 to $40.
Yeah, so we also talked about this, that we wanted to do a tasting for our 52nd episode. These are the ones that we've had product left, and that's because they were at my house.
Here's the background story for y'all. After we did a bottle, we split. So 1 week it went to my house, 1 week went to his house, and then you don't drink as much as I do. And I think it's because you have a gravy train job with no stress and everything's fine.
Oh, I have a lot of stress.
So
it's called heartburn. That's why I don't drink as much.
Heartburn. Well, I'm Irish, so I would crush.
So grow up, Derek.
Yeah, it was like a 4-to-1 ratio. Yeah. I would crush 4 bottles, you would finish 1, and I would make fun of you. So you're like, we're gonna do a tasting eventually. You know what? I'll just keep these bottles. And I looked yesterday, I'm like, well, I need booze, so it's fine. But now I got wine, so I'll probably just switch to wine.
So, also. And we should talk about this too before we get into here, just because I want to talk about one more thing about the next year goals. I want a studio. I want us to move out of my basement and to get into a space where we can do not whatever we want. Obviously, it's my house. I can do whatever I want. But not have to be in a basement where we have to keep tearing stuff down and moving stuff because it's a functional basement. I mean, I work down here. My regular job is 20 feet that way. So it is something that I want to separate the podcast from my house and getting a studio for us to then decorate everything that we want, because ultimately, and the reason that I bring that up is because we had that thought process of let's destroy this bottle, then we can put an empty bottle up on the shelf. I don't know if I want to do that anymore, because how sweet would it be to have a studio and have a stocked bar of everything that we have. And when we finish a bullet, we buy another bullet to put on the shelf. And then have people over. We can have parties at the studio. We can do whatever we want, because then that's our space. And we can have people try all the different bottles that we have because they're full or have some liquor in it, rather than just all these empty bottles.
Yeah, and then that led into different conversations where we would take all the labels off of each bottle, make a collage, frame it, put it on the wall for wall decor. They're all different options for the studio space. And then secondly, for a caveat for what you said, there's a lot of businesses that we want to have on that have either 24-hour business service, or they don't have a space that's quiet where nothing from the outside would distract the audio. And I think that for our listeners, obviously they don't want that. So we're trying to give them the best platform possible to then self-promote on. And the studio can be a quiet place where someone can come in that owns a business that doesn't have a space where we can come in and record, that they can then come in to our studio, record, and then we can still give them the place to promote.
Yeah. For example, Western New York Heroes, they had a space. We were able to go there and record in their conference room.
Yep.
Open Arms Rescue, the second charity that we donated to, did not have a space. So we ended up doing it outside, which was a great experience. We had a great time. But we could then, if we had a studio, invite them to the studio to then record in there.
Yeah.
It would just be so much more consistent sound for everybody. We would have backdrops that we want that's not my basement. And even looking back at that first clip, you were shooting right back into my laundry area. Like, just, it's not the best. So that's another next year goal. But anyway, back to this tasting. I'm sorry. I just wanted to touch on that before we moved forward. So we have Hartman's here as our local option. We can go through the options right now. And this Hartman's is solely because this is the only local option that I have at my bar right now. So, and it's very empty. So this is the last little bit of it. So Hartman's is our local option. Next, we have Jim Beam, double oaked. Then we have Buffalo Trace, Bullet Bourbon, Woodford Reserve, and Elijah Craig. We wanted to stick with the bourbon theme. So we were going to do Crown, but that's Canadian rye, and that one might be a little bit too easy for us to pick out. We wanted to make it hard. So
that's what she said.
Jesus Christ. Down to 165. All right. So again, I want to point out, this is going to be ridiculously hard. This is not going to be easy.
That's what she said.
Are you sure you can go all day long?
Dude, that's what she said. They're too easy, man.
Well, you always left me feeling satisfied. The office pun. All right. So anyway, this is not going to be easy whatsoever. Yes, Mike, say it. But these are all different types of bourbon. What we're going to do is we're going to try each one of them and see if we can figure out which one is which, but more importantly, which one we feel is like best to worst, to see if that is corresponding with what we had listed. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Let's try number one.
Numero uno.
Number one. You like that? Dude, this is going to be hard. That's what she said.
I'm going to number them 1 through 6. I brought a pen. And then that way, I'll see how I did on the test. I'll probably give myself a C plus minus check mark. Square root. Okay. Next year goal, new chairs.
That's like a next month goal. Honestly, we got to cut this out because this is gross. We're going to look back. So when we do the 104th episode, we're going to look back to our beginning episode and this episode. We're going to be like, why were their chairs so squeaky?
100%.
We've invested in all this tech.
We can't find a good chair. That's why.
All right. Ron Swanson, chair. Dude, this is going to be tough.
All right, number 2.
Hold on. It's
There you go. If you don't watch on YouTube, you honestly have to watch on YouTube. There's just too many things that happen.
Oh.
This is Woodford?
Yes. I don't like this one at all. God, I hope this isn't what I think it is. right, so was that one like ridiculously weak? Or is it just me? Compared to the first one? That first sip did not taste like anything to me.
It had a lot of baking spice in it, and the burn was up front. So I think I know what it was, but no, for me there was a kick for sure. Number 3?
Yep.
Oh man, we're gonna get sloshed.
This is super good content for our viewers too.
I'm pretty confident on this one. I know what this one is. I'm fairly confident.
Yeah, me too. I have a feeling I'm failing.
You're failing. You know what? You're fired. Goodbye. Turn it off. You're a disgrace.
These are different, but
Different,
a
but
lot
similar.
of the bourbon tastes exactly the same.
Yeah, bourbon's bourbon, man. That's why I love it.
This is hard tasting. All right, number 4.
I don't know why we did so many for ourselves. It's literally just making it harder.
Oh, I got another sheet. We got 5 more.
Perfect. Is Journey going to come down with white gloves? It's probably like, you guys are the worst.
Yeah, so also, thank you, Gina. She came home from work today after a long, stressful day at work, and she was able to pour Journey. She was able to pour and do this for us. So she is the reason why we don't know right now. She poured all of them in there, and then the results are in this white envelope right here. So we will open that up in a little bit.
Thank you, Journey. BHH Housewives.
Mm-hmm. I'm pretty confident on this one. I will be happy if I get one right.
Oh, no doubt. No doubt. It's odd because we've been out of school since 2014. We graduated college with our 4-year degrees in 2014. And we are now testing ourselves, and I haven't felt anxiety like this since 2014. I feel like this is a legit test. Don't screw it up, Mike. And this isn't multiple choice.
No, this isn't. I mean, it is, but
No, it's process of elimination, if anything.
It's true. It's one of those, like, you know, those, I love them, where you have like one here and then one here, and then you got to draw the lines to match them. That's what this is. It's like number 1, draw the line to Hartman. Number 2,
Oh,
draw
I know.
the line. Yeah.
Oh, I know, but you had to know what the hell you were doing.
Oh,
On those.
absolutely.
You had to know it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you actually knew it. That's why you didn't stress about those. I'm sitting there trying to draw parallelograms. I'm all terrified.
Mike, why did you draw a star? There's only 2 options.
Wee woo. Wee woo. All right, number 5. So we're out of Glencairns, I guess. I literally could have brought 4 more Glencairns.
I didn't know that you had 4 more.
Yeah, remember you gifted me a case of
yeah,
12?
So actually, these are from a golf tournament that I did for one of my buddies. His brother passed away when he was serving. So this is the ZDS Memorial Golf Tournament that I participated in. So Nate, if you're watching, thank you.
You can't just drop that bomb, dude. I'm going to start crying.
Yeah. It was
Jesus. Well, cheers.
Cheers.
Christ. To brothers earned, to brothers lost.
Yeah, didn't mean to go down dark, but it's kind of what you got to do.
Okay. I know that one. If I get that wrong, I'm going to smoke myself.
Good for you.
I'm confident on number 3 and number 5. and number 1. 1, 3, and 5 I'm confident on.
Wow. That's impressive.
Well, I drink a lot, so go Bills.
All right, number 6.
Number 6. It's the only one left. So, if you duplicate yourself, you're an idiot. Yeah.
You're very confident.
Yeah, I am. I'm going to get none right.
All right, so now mark them down. So we have 1 through 6 listed out.
Oh, you want me to rate them? Worst to best?
Yeah. So we have 1 through 6 listed out.
Damn it.
And then we have all of our options listed out. So now you have to put down what, like, over to the right.
I forgot them all. I was so focused. I wasn't trying to see
All
which
right,
one was
then
best.
we don't have to do that.
That's tough. They're all great. That's why they're here. We're not reviewing bad booze.
I mean, if it happens, it happens. We did Crown Royal. We're reviewing bad booze. You need to put it in a purple bag. Get it out of my face. I'm just kidding. I love that bag.
Yeah, it was one of the highest label brandings we ever had.
I know. Outside of Lagavulin 11 year and Jack Daniels Eric Church.
Mm-hmm. All right, well, now what? Now what, Derek?
Now we open that envelope and see how terribly we got what we got.
All right. Spoiler alert, no cocktail section. So, hate to break it to you.
And no whiskey review section. This is our whiskey review right here.
Yeah.
This is going to be the first time you and I don't do a review.
It's pretty wild. I'm making sure I touched everything in my notes beforehand.
You ready?
All right.
You ready for this?
Drop that countdown. Or give me that countdown. It's open. Woo.
3, 2, 1.
All right.
94. No. All right, so here we go.
All right.
Jesus Christ.
Are you not even close?
No. All right, so number 1. What do you have?
Just say what they are.
Bullet.
Christ.
Completely wrong. All right, so this was actually Bullet. What did you have for this one?
Hartman's.
Oh, I had Jim Beam.
Really?
Yeah.
It's too late for that.
No.
All right, go ahead. Next.
See, I thought this one was the heaviest. That's why this next one I put as Bullet, because I didn't think Bullet was heavy.
What's number 2?
Hartman's.
Shit.
Right? Completely wrong. Damn it. All right, next, 3, Woodford Reserve.
Oh, come on.
What did you have?
I had Buffalo Trace.
So did I.
I was so confident on that.
I was very confident.
And it's Woodford, huh?
Yeah. Bastards.
They probably collaborated.
All right.
Try to throw us off.
All right, so far we're over 3.
Well, worse than the Tennessee Titans kicker last season. Oh my gosh.
All right, so obviously this next one's wrong because it's Buffalo Trace. What did you have for this one?
I had Woodford.
I had Woodford for this one
flipped
too.
him.
See? At least you and I are on the same page. It's like we do a podcast together. All right, so this is Buffalo. The next one, I got right. Elijah Craig.
No.
I knew that one was Elijah Craig. I was confident on that one. And the last one was Jim Beam Double Oak.
That's the only one I had right.
Really? I put Hartman's for that one.
I'm super mad at myself. 1 for 6?
Yeah.
Grow up. Be an athlete. What am I doing?
This is our last episode ever because we're decommissioning this podcast because we suck.
Damn.
Yeah, not a fan.
That was difficult, though.
That was hard. That was very, very, very difficult.
I was super confident that it was 1, 3, and 5 was right, and it wasn't. Wasn't even close.
So you and I was very confident that it was Buffalo Trace and then Woodford. I was extremely confident about that.
Oh, I'm so mad at myself.
Buffalo.
right.
Hold on 1 second.
I'm going to give everyone 25 push-ups because that was pathetic. I'm sorry. You just crushed 6 different noses. There's no way you're going to pick that up out of the 6. You're not a bloodhound. What is this?
So we failed miserably.
Listen. We also haven't had these in a long time.
True.
So now the next question, I know that all the viewers are curious. What do I get to take home?
Whatever you want.
What am I crushing, bro?
Whatever you want. I don't care. Which one haven't you had a lot of? You had a lot of Elijah Craig.
I've crushed a lot of Elijah Craig.
I'll keep Elijah. You want to take Woodford home?
Yeah.
Because you haven't had a ton of Woodford, right?
Yeah, I'll take some Woodford and I'll smoke a cigar with it.
There you go.
All right.
So for everybody's knowledge, we reviewed Jim Beam, Woodford, Elijah Craig, Bullet, Buffalo Trace, and Hartman's. Jim Beam actually will go in chronological order because that makes sense. So Hartman's, if you want to listen to the review on that one, that is episode 13. After that, Elijah Craig Small Batch was episode 35. After that, Bullet Bourbon was episode 39. Then Jim Beam Double Oak was episode 42. Buffalo Trace was episode 44. And Woodford Reserve was episode 48. So that is our whiskey review segment right there. Honestly, I'm very happy that I got one right.
Me too.
It is very, very difficult to call these out, especially because they're all bourbons. If we had a rye, Crown Royal, Jack Daniels, and like 2 bourbons, we would have gotten at least 4 out of 5 right.
Yeah, it's way easier.
Because they're different mash bills. You would pick up different flavors. This relied on us knowing what the flavor profiles were of each. And honestly, I don't drink that much to know that. I know that I liked Hartman's, and I also like, what was the other one that I called Hartman's? Bullet. Mm-hmm. So I called Bullet because I think that Bullet and Hartman have a similar type of taste to it.
And you love Bullet.
That's why it's almost gone. Hartman's and Bullet are basically almost gone. So I think that these probably matched up pretty close to what our ratings were. But I'm happy I got one right. And maybe next time during our 104th episode, we'll do different types of bourbon or different types of whiskey so people know that we actually know our shit.
If you doubt us, send us a DM, ask us some questions. You'd be surprised how much we picked up in 52 weeks.
Yeah.
But
can you imagine us doing a Tennessee whiskey, a Kentucky bourbon, a Canadian rye, an Empire rye, a Scotch, and then a regular bourbon? We would have gotten all of those right. I'm 100% positive on that.
Yeah, that's easy. The biggest thing that people need to remember, too, is that we're not whiskey sommeliers. We're not master distillers. We're not head distillers. We never went to college for this.
We never even distilled before.
We never distilled. We're whiskey fans, and our sole purpose is to help promote small Buffalo businesses and nonprofits. That's what we do. Mm-hmm. So the whiskey aspect is just because we like whiskey. It's our drink of choice. So we're incorporating that into the podcast. However, we're not necessarily a whiskey podcast. We're a Buffalo podcast that incorporates whiskey. So I want to make that distinction clear so that moving forward, people understand what our overall intent is. Because yes, we like whiskey. Yes, we like to do reviews. Yes, we like to rate. But that's not the only thing we do.
Yeah.
So subscribe to us on YouTube. There's obviously going to be more content. Make sure you follow us on Instagram, like us on Facebook. We appreciate all support. Message us, comment on things. Be a Tier 1 fan. Grow with us. That's our message to you. We appreciate everybody. We appreciate all the support. Thank you so much for contributing to the merchandise thus far. Raising over $350 is incredible. It's only going to grow. So let's keep at it, man.
Yeah.
This is episode 52, which is dope.
You know what else I like about this?
What?
Is you and I are spot on with an hour now since we've done these episodes.
I
this
noticed
is literally 59 minutes.
The first episode, I was stumbling with a timer, trying to figure out how long an hour was, where now it's just subconscious and we know. And that's it.
That.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, we just flow.
Cool. Put us out, Mike.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much. This is episode 52, our 1 year in review. Thank you for all the support thus far. We will see you next week. And just know we have content releasing into October already on different special interviews. So follow us for the journey. We appreciate all of you. Thank you.
We're out.